from above.
I'm 21 years old. Um,
Yeah.
what advice would you say to yourself at 21 years old today as a Christian?
Okay. Well, I'm recalling while I was still 21 years old. I was way back in Indonesia, and right now I'm in the Philippines. We have a totally different culture. Well, in Indonesia and in the Philippines, the culture in Indonesia was very, very Easternized, very, very strict, and especially they were the largest Muslim country in the world uh, in scale compared to any other country. So I my upbringing of being 21 years old is very, very restrictive, very, very constrained. Within the family, in Indonesia, you're not supposed to holding your hands together with a male and female. You're not supposed to show affection in the public areas. And I'm being in college in the Philippines is totally different. So I was like blown away with the differences, and going from the Philippines to America. We're living there for about 7 years. It's totally shifting. A lot of differences that I encounters. So my being 21 years old, I can give a good tips or good advices for you out there. Is that explore whatever opportunity God has given you, never hiding out, just expose yourself to the world because we're called to be the light of the world and the salt. And then Jesus said, what happened if the salt uh, has no flavor at all? It doesn't do any better. So we have to get ourselves exposed. We are living in a vulnerable world.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we know how to expose ourselves to the world, we know how to discover the world in a different way. Then we know how to counter the things that we've learned, the things that we've seen, the things that we've heard. To counter that with the Spirit of God that lives in us, because the Holy Spirit lives powerfully. And I remember the story of David while he was being asked by his dad to go and bring food to his brother who were fighting the Philistines out there in the valley of Elah. And he doesn't, he was not prepared at all. But all of a sudden, he was facing with the world, and it was happening I think it's in the book of Samuel. And he says, "Who is this Philistine guy who's trying to making himself the strongest guy in this war?" And so they say, "This is Goliath." And so eventually he fight Goliath in the name of the Lord, and he won, and he experienced the victory. So in other words, being 21 years old, my tips and advice is that just explore the world, because we know we've been equipped already. And
Mm-hmm.
if we don't explore the world, how do we be able to counter the cultures that the world is teaching our kids?
Right.
And by how do we able to counter the all of this negativity surrounding us with the power of God? And so that's my suggestion, to conquer with the Spirit of God, and at the same time to discover and to get exposed.
I love that. I receive all of that. That was really good.
Yeah,
It is important. It's important to keep our eyes on the Holy Spirit and let Him lead our lives and take us onto amazing journeys with Him. But we can only do that if we give Him our heart and just tap
that's true.
into His Word and just
Yeah,
accept that He's got a big plan for our lives. So it's
That's
always
true.
going to be better than our own plan. That's for sure.
That's true.
And so
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm
I love that.
also one fact is that when God gave the Spirit, He's pouring it out to overflow, not just to fill it up to the brim, but to overflow. And I believe
Yes.
when the Spirit of God overflows, it will create an effect that the surrounding us would be able
Amen.
to foretaste the outpouring of that Spirit too.
That is awesome. Yes, that is so true. God just keeps overflowing our hearts,
Yeah,
our minds, and everything that we do in life if we allow him to. And so it's amazing. It's like Holy Spirit fire just flooding all over the place, and it's awesome. So, yes,
exactly.
I agree with you. I'm into that. That's awesome. Thank you for that. I receive it.
Let me interrupt you. Let me hug you. Praise Jesus. This interruption hug comes from above.